Hey y'all, let's talk about some Georgia Bulldogs, and this is their 2025 preview and prediction. And guys, Georgia statistically did not have the season that they typically have. Okay? They played the number one strength of schedule. A lot of things were stacked against them last year, but guess what? They were still your SEC champions in 2024. Still won the SEC. That is just mind-boggling with the schedule that they played last year and some of the things that they struggled with. Offensive line issues as far as injuries, running back injuries. A lot of things happen. They lose their quarterback in the SEC title game, and they fought through all that and still won an SEC title. So just a miraculous year for Georgia, even though they didn't win the national title. You got to tip your hat to them and just be like, I'm impressed. And I was. Like I said, they played the number one strength of schedule, one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen anyone play. And this was not your prototypical Georgia football team. This team really struggled to run the football, ranked 102nd in the country in running the football. Only averaged 124 yards per game. That's bad. That's horrible. I guarantee you they won't do that this year, though. I guarantee that. I guarantee Georgia will be a top 50 rushing offense this year. A couple reasons why. I think they've got more depth back there and less injuries hit again this year. You're getting Branson Robinson back from injury. You got that Bo Walker kid coming in who really impressed in the spring. And then you got Nate Frazier for over 600 yards. So, and now you are losing a lot on the offensive line. But you do have a lot of guys that still played, had a lot of playing time. And guess what? Georgia's got 5 stars everywhere, 4 stars that are going to come in there and play. They're still very talented. So I think they're okay on the offensive line. I think they're going to be better at running back. And I think for sure they're going to be better at receiver, which we'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, as far as last year, throwing the football, they had a pretty good year. 3,400 yards passing, that's pretty darn good. Carson Beck struggled at times. He had a couple games where he threw 3 interceptions in games. He got sacked a lot, had some really boneheaded plays, but he didn't get a lot of help from his receivers either. Arian Smith, Dylan Bell, they dropped a lot of footballs at very not opportune times. But they were still very effective. And there were some games they played really, really well. But they would definitely in 2025 want to cut down on these interceptions. They had 12 interceptions last year, 18 sacks, and that's just too much. They want to cut down on that this year. So let's talk about the 2025 Georgia Bulldogs. So betting markets have Georgia winning around 10 games. That's really low for Georgia, honestly. A lot of times they typically have them around 11 wins, but I think that's about right. I'll talk a little bit here more where I think Georgia's going to be on the win total, but 10 games is about right. Georgia is losing a lot of people, which is nothing new. Georgia loses people every year to the transfer portal now, and then they also lose people to the NFL draft because they're always developing players. They're losing Jalen Walker, a top 10 pick, losing Carson Beck. They're losing Arian Smith, who is their leading receiver, had over 800 yards receiving. So those are some key pieces that they are missing. They are bringing back some very key people, though, from last year. Dalen Everett, he had 3 interceptions. Their leading rusher, Nate Frazier's back. He's just going to be a sophomore. They got a guy, Bo Walker, that has come on here. He's going to be a true freshman. He had an amazing spring. And they're going to have some running backs coming back from injury that I think they're going to help with that depth in that running back room. And that's the reason why Georgia struggled to run the football. Like I said, it's that running back room was injured, offensive line was injured, and I think that's going to change in 2025. Another thing that's going to really help them, they got the best tight end room in the country. Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky, those guys have a plethora of catches and TDs, and that's going to be huge for a young quarterback like Connor Stockton to be able to depend on those guys. Those guys ate my Tennessee Vols up in Athens last year. I just felt like tight ends were just running around wide open all game long. And I guarantee they're going to use those tight ends very effectively in 2025. The other thing that I thought Georgia just did an amazing job, and they had to be the best team in the country last year going out in the portal and getting receivers. Zachariah Branch from USC, who had over 500 yards at USC, is a former 5-star recruit. They got him, and then they got Noah Thomas from Texas A&M. So there's a lot of weapons, a lot of talent around Connor Stockton. He has a lot of toys to play with, and I think that Georgia offense will be better. It'll be more balanced in 2025 for sure. And they got to. They have to have a better rushing offense to go with that passing offense. So let's get to the preview and prediction here, okay? I'm going to go 1 through 12 here, and I'm going to give you a prediction for every single game. I'm going to not to try too long talk about it, but I'm going to go right through here. So they opened the year out at home against Marshall. Marshall's not horrible. They're a Sun Belt team that they possibly could win the Sun Belt Conference, a 7-5 type team. But like I said, Georgia, this is a good tune-up game for Georgia. This is a good game for Connor Stockton to get some experience, get those receivers out there, see how they are, if they're on the same page, and they'll easily win this game. Obviously, you're 1-0. And then you play Austin Peay. Austin Peay's horrible. They are located up here, I think, near Clarksville, Tennessee. I will say they gave Tennessee a really good game a couple years ago where Tennessee was like 50-point favorites. It was a very strange game. But, Austin Peay, they'll get killed. Georgia will win this by 50-plus, easy. You're 2-0. Now you play the Tennessee Vols in Knoxville. Now, this is a game in which now they're moving it kind of back to what they did 25, 30 years ago. Tennessee and Georgia used to always play the first SEC game of the year. That's when Tennessee's luck against Georgia was much better. I'm not high on my Tennessee Vols this year. It's a transition year, new quarterback. We're missing some key pieces. But this is still a very quality football team. Defensively, going to be very solid. Tennessee's going to be. Offensively, they're going to be able to run the ball. But, how's the quarterback going to play? Is there going to be turnovers? Tennessee's had issues with penalties and stuff like that, especially in big games. I'll just say, Josh Heupel, he's been owned by Kirby Smart in this series, whatever it is. I mean, I don't think Heupel has scored over 17 points against Georgia since 2021. We just cannot score on that Georgia defense. I think this is going to be a really good game, because I don't see Georgia probably scoring a lot of points in this game either, because I'm going to tell you, Neyland Stadium's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a very hostile and road environment for Georgia. Connor Stockton, first SEC road game. That offensive line, a lot of these guys have not played or started actually in an SEC stadium, so they're going to probably struggle with the noise and all that stuff that goes with playing on the SEC and the road. But Georgia's just there's still a significant gap there in talent, and there is a gap in coaching as well. Kirby Smart's a better coach. I like that Tennessee gets them early. I like that it's in Knoxville, but I can't go against Georgia in this game. I think Georgia beats Tennessee. Tennessee's about an 8-win team this year. They're not a 9 or 10-win team unless there's something out there that I'm not seeing. And I think Georgia is 3-0 after that Tennessee game. I think they get just enough points in a low-scoring game. Now you got an open date. Now you play the dreaded Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a team that's won 9 out of the last 10 games in this series. Kirby Smart's only won 1 game since he's been at Georgia in 2016. A lot of this is the dominance of Nick Saban, but Kalen DeBoer was able to beat him last year in Tuscaloosa. I wrestled back and forth on this pick. A lot of times, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Alabama's kind of got if they're in their head, why not just go ahead and pick Alabama to win this game again? Because that's what they just continue to do for the most part. But this is a 7:30 kickoff in Athens, Georgia. Kirby has to win this game. He has to. And I don't think I'm being dramatic when I say that either. He has to win this game. It being in Athens, it being at night, these teams are pretty even. I think that gives Georgia an advantage, and I think Georgia gets the job done and they're 4-0. But it will be a hard game. It will be hard. It will be a difficult game for Georgia to win for sure. Then game 5, you play Kentucky at home. Now Kentucky, traditionally plays you very hard, very physical. There's been a lot of close games over the last 5 or 6 years in this series. Last year they were up and really should have won that game, and Georgia was able to rally there in the second half and come back and win. But this Kentucky team, Mark Stoops will get fired this year. I mean, he's fired. He's gone. He's had assistants. Some of his most loyal assistants have left the program. They're gone. The team's just not talented, and it's a tough schedule. And Kentucky will not make a bowl game. This will be Mark Stoops last year. You easily beat Kentucky in Athens, no problem. You're 5-0. Now you got in game 6, you play Auburn, an Auburn team that, talent-wise is going to be better. They went out here and got some people. Offensive line should be pretty solid this year for Auburn. But here's my problem. Hugh Freeze has not developed a quarterback since he's been at Auburn. He has struck out on that. He went out here and got Jackson Dart from Oklahoma, and I'm not a Jackson Dart fan. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a bust, and I don't see Auburn winning 8 games. That's what they're projected to win. That's what a lot of publications have them winning. I just don't see it. I think Auburn is going to have another 6-win type team. It is in Jordan-Hare. Funny things happen there, and Auburn almost beat you 2 years ago there, and that's before, your tight end, he put on a Captain America T-shirt and went out there and he had like 200 yards receiving. But anyway, you won that game, but it was a tough game. But I think you win that game unless something really weird happens. But I think you beat Auburn, you're 6-0. Then you play Ole Miss. Now, this is a team that beat you last year. I actually projected you to beat Ole Miss, but they got you. It was a rainy, nasty game, and Georgia just didn't seem like they wanted to be there. They were shell-shocked. Could not do anything offensively in that game. Defense for Ole Miss really made Georgia's life miserable last year. I'll cut this short. Kirby's not letting Lane Kiffin beat him 2 years in a row. The backstory on that is Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart were on the same team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, I think during like the 2014, maybe even the 2015 team, that they were on that. They were assistants for Nick Saban. They know each other very well. Ole Miss is not as talented as they were last year. I think Georgia's a touch better this year. It's in Athens. Georgia should get the job done, and you're 7-0. Now you got an open date, and you're going to play a Florida team that, Billy Napier, the coach of Florida, is in his 4th year. It's going to be a very competitive football game. They had you on the ropes at halftime. DJ Lagway got hurt, and then they brought out that guy, the guy that was serving Gatorade. He come in to play the quarterback position for Florida, and it was a wrap after that. Georgia just pulled away in the second half. But, it's the world's largest cocktail party. It's a heck of a rivalry. I think Florida is going to make this a very tough game, and this is a game that I wouldn't be too surprised if Florida won this game. Now, I'm not picking Florida to win this game. Don't get it twisted. I think Georgia should win this game. They are the better team overall, but I think you're undefeated going into this game, and it would not surprise me if Florida won or actually beat you all. But I got you winning, got you going 8-0. Now you come back and you play at Mississippi State. It really helps you that you're playing 2 teams in the SEC, and Kentucky and Mississippi State are the 2 worst teams in the SEC. That kind of gives you a little bit of a break. Mississippi State's terrible. They did score 31 points on y'all last year in Athens, which just shocked me. But Mississippi State offensively is decent. Offensively they're decent, but their defense is putrid. They're horrible. Mississippi State is going to be better, but they're still about a 4-win team at best. Georgia rolls in that game. I don't care if it's at Mississippi State or not. They don't have any chance in that game. So you're 9-0. So here's where I had you getting your first loss. You play Texas at home. Now, I know Georgia fans are sitting here thinking, come on, man. We beat them last year at their place, and we beat them in the SEC championship game with our starting quarterback getting injured. I just think Texas is loaded again this year. They're still extremely talented. They're just as talented as Georgia is. I know this is in Athens. I just like Arch Manning better than Connor Stockton. Not taking anything away from Connor Stockton. I think he's going to be fine. But I think Arch Manning he's going to have a really, really good year. Now, you could say the same thing for Alabama. I don't think they beat Alabama and Texas. They're going to lose one of those two games right there. So I don't see anybody in the SEC going undefeated. Matter of fact, I'll be about surprised if anybody has two or has just one loss. But I think Arch Manning gets the job done. I think the Texas Longhorns get the job done at Athens and give you that first loss of the season. Then you come home and play Charlotte. They're called the 49ers, but not the San Francisco 49ers. These are the Charlotte 49ers, a group of 5 team that plays in the AAC conference. They're an okay team, but I'll just skip all the verbiage here and just tell you that's an easy win for Georgia, and you're 10-1. Then you close out the year at home against Georgia Tech. Now, this was a team that, they should have won the game last year. They should have beat you. Georgia just sleptwalked through that game, and then at the end there, they turned it up a notch, was able to make it go into overtime. I think they won it in 4 overtimes, Georgia did. So, yeah, I don't see you overlooking Georgia Tech this year. Now, I will say they got a great quarterback in Haynes King. He can make your life just miserable, methodically moving that football down the field, moving those chains. Georgia Tech will be better this year. I think they're about an 8-win team. Even though, they do play in the ACC, which is a much easier conference than the SEC. But I think Georgia Tech's going to be a decent football team this year. But Georgia should win that game. So, my pick is I have Georgia going 11-1. They may be 10-2, but I'm picking 11-1. I think they may lose a game to maybe Florida, maybe Tennessee, maybe even Alabama. You could have 2 losses. But I've got you going in 11-1. I think this is a team that Kirby is going to be able to be more balanced with offensively. I think Georgia defensively turns it up another notch and goes from a 30th in total defense to a top 20 defense. And I think running the ball is going to be much more effective, more depth. I think the offensive line is going to block better. And I got Georgia going 11-1, guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll talk to y'all later.